Here is one of the most infamous and famous faces in the history of the world. Right here. It's Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. He was the first leader of communist Russia. Here he is speaking to Bolsheviks. This, yes, you might have guessed, this presentation is on the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution was actually began in the middle of World War I in 1917. The main causes for the revolution were, first of all, different armies coming in, both German and Austro-Hungarian, coming into Russia, and the Russian army didn't do very much about that, and so the people of Russia didn't think very highly of their government that couldn't even defend their own country. Also, the Russian army, there was lots of prisoners taken, there was lots of casualties, there was not very many victories, so the army wasn't, too happy. Also, most of the people in Russia were serfs and peasants and weren't very rich. However, the aristocracy was really the only rich people in Russia. And so the Russians decided to join the Bolsheviks, the Marxists, or the Communists, whatever you want to call them, led by Lenin and one of the Russian generals, Leon Trotsky. Leon Trotsky and Lenin both decided that to overthrow the Russian government, and but someone beat him to it. It was Alexander Kerensky and his Mensheviks in what was called the February Revolution. However, this was actually March, because the Russian calendar was different from the Western calendar. And then it was an Orthodox calendar, so it's called the February Revolution, but it was really happening in March. In the American calendar, it was March. And then the October Revolution in 1917 was actually November. But anyway, the Mensheviks decided, alright, we need a different government. So the Mensheviks came in under Alexander Kerensky and overthrew the Tsarist government under Tsar Nicholas II. Here you see Tsar Nicholas II in Siberia, and you see the guards guarding him, Bolshevik guards back here. Then on October, after the February Revolution had gone and Tsar Nicholas right here was defeated, the Bolsheviks came in October to overthrow the Mensheviks. And it's getting complicated here. So the Bolsheviks come and they overthrow the Mensheviks in the October Revolution, and eventually they win out. Here's a picture of Russian Bolshevik troops marching into Red Square. Red Square in Russia. The Bolsheviks soldiers are right here. Lenin and Trotsky were the leaders of the Bolshevik army, and however there were still some people in Russia who wanted either the Mensheviks or the Tsarists to still rule Russia. They didn't like the Bolsheviks, and the Bolsheviks didn't like the war. They didn't like the World War I. They didn't like Russia being a part of that. So you see the other Entente powers, Great Britain and France, Italy, those nations didn't want Russia to be under Bolshevik control because there was always the fear that that Bolshevik Russia would withdraw from the war, and then that would mean hundreds of thousands of German soldiers could be free to come over to the other side of the front, to the Western Front, and with that, Germany's war on two fronts would be broken, and now it would only be one front for the Germans to concentrate on. So the Entente would be losing an ally. So the Entente did not like the Bolsheviks to be in control of Russia, and thus starts the Russian Civil War, which lasts till about 1923, so a couple years, and it's between the White Army and the Red Army. Now the Red Army is the Bolsheviks, and the White Army is the Mensheviks, the Tsarists, the Imperial Russians. The Entente powers actually come in and intervene a little bit, but by 1923, the Red Army has successfully taken over Russia. And thus is the birth of the USSR, the Soviet Union, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and beginning of Communist Russia in the 1917 Russian Revolution.